This is Energy Frontiers for the week. Hello everyone, I am Justina Okechukwu, and we say thank you to the African Energy Chamber for the support of the show. Now let's get started with some of the biggest energy news from here in Africa and around the world. South Africa's Environment Ministry has given the green light for Total Energies to drill offshore for oil and gas in Block 5, 6 and 7 of the Western Cape Coast after dismissing an appeal from 18 NGOs and individuals who intend to challenge the decision. Meanwhile, oil prices were headed for a weekly loss on Friday after Russian government announced that as part of additional measures to keep the domestic fuel market stable, it is lifting the ban on exports of diesel delivered to seaports by pipeline, provided that the diesel producer supplies at least 50% of the diesel to the domestic market. As a result, global benchmark Brent crude futures were down just 0.1% at $84.02 per barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down by 0.1% at $82.25 a barrel. Predator Oil and Gas Holdings plc says it has opened exploratory discussions with a group focused on the downstream energy business to potentially sell its share of gas produced at its Joseph wellhead onshore Morocco. The Jersey-based company says it would be amending its rigless testing program in order to speed up the timing of negotiations. And that was a snapshot of your energy news headlines. When we return, the high-profile ADIPEC 2023 conference and exhibition will be in focus. Welcome back. Now, the Abu Dhabi International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference held in the week highlighted efforts by oil and gas companies to cut carbon emissions while showcasing latest technologies needed to transform the sector. At the opening of the four-day event, the COP28 President-designate and UAE Minister of Industry and Advanced Technology, Sultan Al Jaber, stated that the energy industry can and must help drive solutions for climate change and decarbonizing faster together.
Clean tech investments reached a record of $1.7 trillion last year. A record of 440 gigawatts of renewable energy are set to be added to the grid only this year in 2023. Electric vehicle sales have tripled in the past 3 years. And as I've said before, a phase down of fossil fuels is inevitable. In fact, it's essential. Yet, this must be part of a comprehensive energy transition plan that is fair, that is fast, just, orderly, equitable, and responsible. This energy transition must be well managed and carefully considered. There are three key areas that I believe can have the biggest impact in the shortest period of time. The first is curbing emissions from the production of energy. And I have called on all IOCs and NOCs to step up and align around net zero by or before 2050. Zero out methane emissions and eliminate routine flaring by 2030. And I am very pleased to say that over 20 oil and gas companies, both IOCs and NOCs, representing all continents, have positively answered the call. But you all know that this took time, a lot of effort, and many months of hard work, and I mean hard work, negotiation, and collaboration. And I urge everyone to make this commitment at COP28 in Dubai this year. COP28 is a COP where I am calling on everyone to set the highest ambitions and follow through with practical actions to deliver real and tangible results. Second, I believe this industry has a critical role in scaling up renewable energy. We have been calling for renewable energy capacity to be tripled to 11,000 gigawatt by 2030. This goal is now supported by 85% of the world's economies and represent a unique opportunity for this industry to diversify and future-proof its own business models. However, the intermittent nature of renewables means they are not a base load source of power for heavy emitting industries. This takes us to the third area: decarbonizing hard-to-abate sectors like steel, cement, aluminum, and heavy transportation. These sectors will require low-carbon solutions, including hydrogen, carbon capture, battery storage, and renewable fuels. We know that solutions exist, and all industries can and must act. But we know that they cannot act alone. Governments should be proactive in setting the right demand signals and dealing with critical issues like permitting. Together, we must overcome the hurdles to scale up and commercialize hydrogen and carbon capture technologies. In addition, we must reimagine the relationship between producers and the heaviest consuming sectors. Since March, I have been convening heavy emitting sectors alongside the energy industry, as well as governments, NGOs, civil society, scientists, technologies, and technologists, and the financial community to help accelerate our drive for real and meaningful decarbonization. COP28 must be the turning point where we begin to get back on track and start our sprint to 2030.
In the meantime, the call for collaborative efforts in decarbonizing Africa's power sector was emphasized at the Afreximbank Nigeria Trade Finance Seminar held in Lagos. Here is Silva Makri, an Associate Director in charge of Power and Renewable in Africa and Middle East at S&P Global, speaking at the event.
Distributed PV is one of the most known technologies and most developed technologies, especially in Africa, but I would say globally. You remember that picture that we looked at the beginning. Why PV? Well, PV is easier to install, takes less time, is cheaper. So there are many reasons why there is a big focus on PV. And then another important reason why the focus is on PV is that it helps with electrification policies. So back to the fact that mostly like 50 or more % of the population in Africa has no access to electricity, PV is a technology that can help in a way solve that problem. It's not going to be the solution of the problem, but it's definitely part of it. And that's why there is a focus on PV technologies. Wind is less so because wind can only be implemented in parts of the region where there are resources. So where the wind blows, you require a certain wind speed for the project to go ahead. And it's slightly more expensive. So it's more efficient than PV, but it's slightly more expensive. So again, it's definitely part of the mix. It's definitely focused for South Africa, for example, not so much in Nigeria. It is in Morocco, it is in Egypt, it is in Kenya. But then solar is basically all over the region. So far we looked at the, we had a look at the historical part of the analysis, and now If we look at the projections in terms of demand, we expect, so I'm showing the figures up to 2035. And those pictures, those numbers put together basically show that there is at least a growing trend towards 2035. But obviously, based also on what my fellow speaker from the World Bank said, the population is growing. If the population grows, it means that there is more people that need electricity. But these projections are basically on a consumption. The assumption is that the consumption per capita of the African people is relatively low. If we just double the consumption per capita of the people, of families, of the households in Africa, we would already have a 15% more power demand. And we're still low on the assumptions of consumption per capita. Now, just not to be too theoretical, because it's difficult to follow, especially after lunch, but basically, power consumption per capita globally, on average, is 3,000 kilowatt hour. So every person annually consumes on average 3,000 kilowatt hour. And this is low, because in some countries in Europe, in North America, that number gets as high as 10, 12,000. You know what it is, that number for Africa? Just sub-Saharan Africa, without considering the North. Well, it's 500 kilowatt hour. So we are far below the global average, and much even lower than countries such as, some European market. So there is a lot of potential. That demand, those projections can be much higher if we assume a consumption for each and every one of us much bigger than those 500 kilowatt hour that are barely, needed for the basic needs of a person or a household. Moving forward, hopefully, there you go. I have the power generation outlook here, which more or less reflects the power demand projections. But I think that what is interesting here, not so much, of course the numbers, and I'll be happy to share the numbers, is not probably the right time right now. But what you can see is how the energy mix changes from 2023 to 2035. That black, the basis, which is coal, is going down, because all the power plants relying on coal right now are being decommissioned. So they're being taken out of the grid, they're being shut down. So no more coal. There will definitely be more gas, because gas is really important in the energy transition. I think there is a general agreement on the fact that gas is important in the energy transition and in the decarbonization efforts. And then, obviously, you see a growth in renewables, which is still very limited, but is there. There is a potential, there is an interest to invest in that part of the mix. And I can tell you another thing, that the gas plants that you see, most of the gas plants that make the green bar there, they're more or less already financed. They are being built, or they're relatively new, so they will still be there in 2035. The new investment is the investment in renewables. Those are the new projects that are being installed and that are looking for financing.
Coming up, an investment perspective on North Africa's oil and gas market. Join us again, everyone.
Hello, I'm the Executive Chair of the Africa Energy Chamber. I want to ask you to join me and thousands of other energy professionals across Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and America at the Africa Energy Week in Cape Town, South Africa, from October 16th to the 20th. This event is going to feature top-notch leaders, speakers, government leaders, industry leaders, and Africa's energy players. You are going to listen to experts and decision makers on the most pressing issues affecting our industry today. Be part of an African energy renaissance, a movement that is committed to ending energy poverty in Africa and unleashing its full potential when it comes to energy growth and energy dominance. Let us join together and learn how to harness the power of innovation, technology, collaboration to create a more sustainable and prosperous future for all Africans. You can help shape that future for Africa. Register now and get ready for an unforgettable experience. Our time is now.
This is Energy Frontiers. Now, North Africa holds significant oil and gas resources, with production accounting for a major share of the region's GDP and government's revenue. However, the region's oil and gas sector faces a number of challenges, including declining reserves, political instability, and the global call for an energy transition. Ali Kansachu is the founder and CEO of Rich Management, an investment professional based in Nairobi, Kenya. I started this interview by asking him how much investment flows is needed in North Africa's hydrocarbon industry. Now let's dive right in and talk about the investment markets in the region. How much investment flows is the North African oil and gas sector attracting amid ongoing global geopolitics and the global call for clean energy transition?
So we've seen a significant new impetus for oil and gas extraction in North Africa. That's arisen from the situation in Ukraine, and particularly Europe has been seeking to replace supplies from the Russian market in particular. And therefore, one of their first focuses was on the North African supply line because of its proximity to Europe, its proximity to the Mediterranean economy. So we've seen a lot of impetus in that direction. But as you said in your preface to this interview, there's significant instability in some of these countries, which means that the investment flows are not flowing smoothly into those countries. But just to give you an idea, the main suppliers of oil and gas from North Africa are obviously Libya, but we haven't seen much increase in oil production there. But Libya's crude oil is sweet. It's sought after by the majority of refiners because the value addition is quite significant. Algeria, big supplier of gas into Europe. Egypt recently discovered gas, as you know. And then on the other side, we have Morocco, which has been leading in the renewable space, the idea of supplying, for example, solar energy, but that still has not yet come on stream. But that gives you an overview of the area.
Now, so what are the opportunities for North Africa to deepen its footprint as a key supplier of hydrocarbon content to Europe and beyond?
So I think the main opportunity is the European one because of proximity, and because of that, the investments can be made reasonably quickly once they've been agreed. So I think the opportunity if I go from east to west, Egypt, of course, has found significant gas, but it's a huge economy and probably can consume a lot of the gas that it's discovered, but will also be supplying gas to the European markets. You've got Algeria, already a big supplier. I think there has been a lack of investment by Sonatrach in that space. So there's an opportunity to ramp up supply. If you look at Spain's economic performance, it's outperformed the rest of Europe, in part because of the supplies from this North African region. So I think Algeria, big opportunity to ramp up. Libya, I think we need more political stabilization before you're going to see significant investments. But once that does happen, that will be a catalyst for, I think, major investments. It is a fossil fuel prize, Libya, in many respects. And then if we go further west, we've got the Moroccan situation, where I think that's a story about renewables. But also don't forget, if we go south, we have Nigeria, we have Niger, we have countries which have a lot of potential. But again, in the Sahel belt, as you know, it's a problem about the political instability, and that's hindering investment into those countries.
The beautiful city of Cape Town, South Africa is gearing up to host Africa's premier event of the year 2023, the African Energy Week Summit, in less than 2 weeks. South Africa's Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Gwedeman Tashe, will be joining a strong lineup of presidents, regional energy ministers, and international delegates, including the United States, Saudi Arabia, and more, to discuss the future of Africa's energy sector. Frontier Africa Reports Chief Executive Bosin Omofaye will be on the ground at the African Energy Week from October 16 to 20, reporting daily highlights of the summit discussions, deal signings, and exciting investment prospects for Africa. And if you would like to schedule interviews and special coverage of panel discussions at the African Energy Week, kindly send an email request to bosinfaye@frontierafricareports.com. Remember to follow our robust coverage of the AEW 2023 on Frontier Africa Reports website, subscribe to our YouTube, and follow us across all our social media handles as indicated on the screen. This is your Energy Frontiers edition for the week. Thank you everyone for watching. I am Justina Okechukwu, and I'll see you again.